Hello and welcome to Minecraft Mods, Episode 1, TerraFirmaCraft, Agriculture. I am Lord Archadeas, and let's start. I'm actually going to be breaking this up into a couple different parts, just because there's so much to actually cover. So I'm starting with agriculture because this is usually what you want for like the lay of the land and what materials you have on hand. Okay, this is oak. The saplings here, this is actually a moderately rare tree, so if you have these nearby, try to save them or gather the saplings as soon as possible. This is the planks, which require the actual plank itself, which is created from these. This is aspen. Personally, I like the dark wood, but to each their own. This is birch, planks, log, saplings, and single plank. Chestnut. This is also a nice wood that I like. Very good for building like furnitures and stuff. Douglas fir. Pretty nice tree. It's good for making firewood if you don't have a lot of large trees on hand. Hickory. This is one of the hottest burning trees available. Second to only oak. Maple. Decent tree. Ash. Don't very much care for it, but it's a decent tree and it grows pretty fast. Pine. This one's actually kind of rare to get a sapling from, so pine's kind of a semi-rare. Sequoia. These produce a lot of wood, but are kind of rare on finding these, as you have to really build up high to actually access the leaves for a sequoia tree. Spruce, they grow fast, or moderately fast, and they're okay. Kind of like the wood for building walls, or the log. Sycamore, this is more of like an overall balanced tree. White cedar, it's actually good for a couple different builds. White elm, pretty nice tree. Willow, very good for fire pits, charcoal pits, etc. Now, these last two, kapok and acacia, they actually you can't actually get these saplings without cheating them in. I just cheated them in to display them. But yeah, you really can't actually get these in a legit game. And personally, I don't really much care for the kapok, but I'm guessing a lot of people actually could enjoy it. Acacia is actually a moderately nice one. And these are found in desert and jungle biomes. And for the first episode, I'm actually going to be skipping around a lot. Actually, for most of these Minecraft mods, I'm actually going to be skipping around a lot to display as much. So I'm going to cut here and go on to the next subject. So, see you in a minute. And I'm back. Next on the list is berries. This is a wintergreen berry bush, blueberry bush, raspberry bush, strawberry bush, blackberry, bunchberry, cranberry, snowberry, elderberry, gooseberry, and cloudberry. Now, berries produce during certain seasons and produce 6 to 8 ounces of berries each month, depending on conditions. Some of these can actually stack up on each other, such as I think it was elderberries. Pretty much anyone that looks almost like a full block should be able to actually stack up on the other bushes. Like these four, I think. Blueberry, raspberry, blackberry, and elderberry should stack up on each other. The rest, they can just basically be found on the ground. Now, a couple of these, like blackberry and cranberry, will actually hurt you if you touch them. So do avoid doing that. Food is actually broken down into different amounts of, basically it's broken down into ounces. Now, you can place two different types of foods together. In fact, I'm going to show this off, as it's going to be something that needs to be covered anyway. I believe it's in, not miscellaneous. I can't actually remember. I think it's actually not in this. I think it's in here. Yeah. As you see, these are amounts of 160 ounces out of 160. The max stack of food is 160. And I actually need a knife. There's actually quite a few tools, but I'll cover that in a different episode. I need weapons, actually. Doesn't matter what knife you use. I'm switching, actually I want to turn that off for a second, to survival. Now, in survival, you also cannot use a full crafting bench until you've actually crafted it once, and I'll show you how to do that in a later episode. But if you want to split food into two pieces, use the knife. And I'm about to die. Just to prevent that horrible death for no reason. And that allows you to split it. Now if you put these two pieces back in the same crafting bench, which I kinda don't like having no crafting bench out of creative, it would actually combine them, but if you combine them with a knife, it splits them in half. That way you can share your food or have it go into different two different places. Or even have it for traveling. That way you don't waste all your food should you die. But moving on. See you in a minute with the crops and other materials. And I'm back. These are the basic crops in TerraFirmaCraft. Now some of these actually aren't in game, or I believe are not in game, but they're still in the files and they function, so, or at least they have a growing function. Wheat, barley, rye, oat, rice, and maize are the 6 primary grain and possibly the only grain category crops available. Everything but maize grows slowly. Maize grows the slowest of all grains, but I believe it produces a little bit more. These can all be have the grain removed from the stalks with a knife and be produced into a grain powder or flour, and then created into dough and bread. And I'll show that later in the episode. Maize is the only grain plant that does not require a knife to remove the straw from the actual grain before it can actually be produced into a food substance, because it can actually be eaten as is. And these are what they look like. I'm actually going to speed up at the end of this line and show you what they all look like fully grown. Potato, onion, cabbage, garlic, carrot. These two, hemp and sugarcane, I don't believe are in-game, because the only sugarcane I've ever seen is that stuff, and I don't know why it's in there, and it's actually on the wiki, but hemp is not, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure hemp is definitely not in the game, and if the joke's out, it doesn't really matter. Tomato, yellow bell pepper, red bell pepper. If you harvest these early, you can actually get a green bell pepper for both of these, and they stack. Soybeans, green beans, squash, and jute. Jute is actually not an edible crop from any of these. So far, the ones I don't think are edible are the sugarcane, hemp, and jute. The rest of these are edible in some form, either right from being picked or later on. And each of these is based on, grows at a different pace depending on the time of year. And something I have to actually do quickly so I can actually show this off, since I literally starved myself to death at one point by speeding things up slightly. I need to actually eat and drink quickly before I switch back into the normal mode. Pottery. Oh, I guess I don't need that. Okay. There we go. Oh. Yeah, it instantly killed me. Yeah, if you skip a bunch of days in creative and then go back, you can literally not survive. Huh. Now, what was I doing? Because I have completely forgotten. Oh yeah. Now, I'm apparently very dead, but not really dead. Okay, these are stats. Stats go up, or skills go up as you perform the action. General smithing is usually anything to do with a anvil. These we'll get into later, but agriculture and cooking is the only one that we're focused on right now. Agriculture, every time you harvest a plant and get a seed or get a material, in this case, it will actually increase your agriculture. Agriculture, when increased to higher levels, will actually help produce more seeds. Since seeds are very rare to come by, you actually have to, I forgot I can't fly right now. You have to find plants in the wild and actually gather them. I do believe there's one right there. Or that might be... In fact, actually, I can walk over here. Since this is kind of a display, these are berries, yeah. So, yeah, berries, they're only found in the wild. They do not grow, and as you see, I had to do the tree one quite quickly, otherwise they start sprouting up. Basically, these are as they are, and that's an acacia tree. They're pretty big. Sequoias are actually a lot bigger, but regardless, yeah. Probably should either... I'm probably going to have to go die somewhere so I can get this bug to stop. But, yeah, the calendar. Basically, it's currently summer. There are 8 days per month on a default setting, and this can be adjusted in the configurations. A 96-day year is default, but it has to be set in sets of 12, otherwise things start going wrong. Basically, plants grow at a default rate adjusted by the year. So longer years takes longer for plants to actually produce. Default, they're about that of normal Minecraft. And let's see, anything else for this? This is your hunger. If you eat a lot of meat, grains, vegetables, fruits, and even cheeses and milk, it increases these. If you don't, they'll decrease. And this is directly related to your health. Each one of these adds 200 health to your character at max. And yes, that is 200. TerraFirmaCraft goes by a different health system related to the standard being 1,000 for all 5, as well as you get 20 health per level, that's XP level, depending on what you have in the configurations. Now, there's also another effect to food, in that there's decay. Decay is a material waste that occurs over a period of time. You can actually set this to turn it off, to have it faster or slower. There's a modifier in there to actually help adjust it the way you want. And so far it's raw foods and cooked eggs, or yeah, pretty much every food has its own set decay rate. Cheeses and I think cheese and something else has the highest decay rate or resistance to it. So now I'm actually going to go back into creative and speed this up quickly, because it's actually really easy to grow plants like this. Just skip a couple of days and there you go. This is what it looks like. Or actually, that's not fully grown, but some of these are. Red bell peppers, most of these are actually fully grown. These take a little bit longer, so I'm just going to skip it up a little bit more. And now, it should actually almost be winter now, which is not good. Jute, this is fully grown, I think. I have to skip a little bit more because, okay, that is fully grown now. You can tell by the little yellow dots on it. All of these are fully grown. Okay. I'm guessing these two are definitely not in game because that doesn't look correct. That's fully grown. The rest of these still don't look fully grown. I'm just going to skip to day 70. That is fully grown. All of these are now fully grown. And that's final. That's pretty much it for these. Those trees should have grown depending on what their actual growth rate is. And as it's probably fall now, you can actually see that the trees themselves turn a different color during these periods of time. That also happens when it is apparently a skeleton. That also happens when there's a lot less water in the area. Like it hasn't rained for a very long period of time. There are certain plants that are very resistant to that, as well as other materials that can actually, like pines, they don't have an issue with it being near winter or fall. So pretty much how it goes. And I'm going to cut out now and go to the next setup. So see you shortly. And welcome back. This is pretty much the last part of this one, I guess, part. Okay, I'm just going to be covering the animals, and one other thing is the cooking surface. I'm we're going to start with the cooking surface. All you need is a knife. Doesn't need to be any metal knife, it just needs to be a knife. And right click with a bowl in your your inventory. It creates this. I was killing a lot of things because I was trying to get a male and female for each of them. But yeah, you can then put one of any material, any different material. It has to be either a grain, a protein, fruit, vegetable, or dairy product. Now, you can't have two of the same material except for if they are in these 4 ounces. So if you have 2 vegetables, you could put them in here, but you cannot have 2 vegetables here. And this goes throughout the entire thing, so that's pretty much it for this. And it creates a meal, which as you eat more and more of the meal, or more often, it will actually increase in taste, which helps with saturation. Now, onto the animals. This is pretty quick. These are pheasants, or this is a female pheasant. You could tell by right-clicking what gender the animal is. And that's a female pheasant. The male pheasant tends to look quite a bit different. Oh, wolf got out. And it killed the male deer. Okay, I think this is the male. Yeah, you can tell a male wolf from a female wolf because the male looks a little bit bulkier. Not bigger, just bulkier. I just don't want them killing anymore because they're going to cause issues. Yeah, fences do not block any of these animals, it just looks good. Here's the male pheasant. Now, chickens also look different, and they have to be in their own separate pen because they have to be covered for something else. Okay, every bear that I've ever seen has been male, so I don't know if there's a female bear, but if there is, then I don't have one because I spawned in like 40 of them, and in fact, all these large hides were just bears that I was chopping down because, yeah. So, no joke, I literally spawned about 30 of them. And they're aggressive and they kill animals too, so watch out. The wolves and bears like to just randomly kill animals. There's another deer I need to spawn in. The deer. Okay, that's a female. You can really tell which ones are male and female. And yes, if you right click on an animal with its own egg, it usually spawns a new one, a baby version of it. That was male for a second, I don't know where it went. I'm just going to spawn it out here. Okay, that is a male. You can tell by the antlers. You have to right click on a female with the egg to produce a offspring. Now, these are 3 male horses and 1 female. Now, horses tend to try to breed with females in the wild at random intervals. So if you see one horse being attacked by 3 other horses, that's kind of a breeding thing. Male sheep have horns, whereas female do not, and my female sheep got eaten. Female cows have small horns compared to the larger horned male cow or bull. Female pigs do not have tusks, where the males do. And the breeding process is pretty much the same. You use a grain, except for, I think maize does not work. You can use pretty much any grain that's had the straw removed from it to breed any of these animals, or basic animals. You cannot breed chickens or wild animals, though the horses themselves breed themselves. You cannot breed bears, though I think wolves will breed with meat. And it actually takes quite a bit of time before the animals will give birth. It's not instant. In fact, you can actually tell if an animal is pregnant by right-clicking. That is female and is pregnant because the 3 males. Chickens themselves are different in the way they work. As you see, these are raw eggs. The female chickens will instinctively try to go to these little areas. These are nest boxes, while the male just wanders around and fertilizes any eggs in these. And within a couple of days or so, this raw egg, since it's been fertilized, it'll actually produce a new chicken, or chick. So if I just give it a little bit of time, create a new one, you can hear that it pops. I think it's within a week they spawn a new animal, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. There we go. Small little chick. As well as, I think the horse should have... no, the horse, it takes like a couple months before the animals will actually produce offspring. But yeah, that's most part. That's the most of the animal stuff. A couple other things I wanted to talk about. Not sure if I have enough time. That might just increase the length of the video. Let's see. I was just making a potion just because I needed to kill a couple of animals and they were annoying me. Food. Basically, the grain itself, put that in the crafting bench with any knife and it will produce a grain. Grain can be used in the corn, which I actually need to show off anyway. Corn base and tools. I'm guessing the corn grindstone is in it. Materials. Okay. Miscellaneous. Here we go. Handstone. Right click with a handstone, or just right click in general, and you can produce a quern. Now, to access the quern, right click that little hole, and then place any grains you have, which I'm actually going to grab a couple. I'm just going to grab some wheat grain. Toss it in here, and right click that, or any other place that isn't that hole, and you can have wheat flour. Wheat flour mixed with water, which is actually in the tools. Or not tools. It has to be fresh water. There is salt water in this. Now, I'm gonna die again, but I don't really care. I just want to show this off. Water creates dough, and this will use up 40 or 80 ounces of that. Don't really care about that as much. Though I do care that it spawned me somewhere else. I needed to die anyway because it was causing me issues with not being able to see my character correctly. Now I'm fine. I don't like that the crafting bench is no longer part of the world or craftable materials. But yeah, it creates a full thing of dough. Dough can then be cooked in a fire pit, which I'm actually going to make now. Since this is all basic materials, you want... Okay, I'm just gonna create the tool. The tool itself is actually pretty easy to do. 2 sticks creates 1 fire starter. The fire starter is the basic tool you'll need to produce a couple things. Now I'm getting out of this, and I need sticks. Drop 3 sticks on the ground. You can also add paper, I think, and it increases the chance of this happening. But right click until you actually get this thing. You can then throw the dough in. It'll heat it up. This is basically how you cook most of your materials. Now, the first fire, you're going to want to throw in some extra materials such as logs. It doesn't really matter which one, because it will not cook anything without a little bit of fuel. Apparently I'm dead again. That twitching is when you starve to death in creative. And you create bread. Bread's then used to eat. And this is the material that you can actually use in the cooking space to produce other foods. I actually want to demonstrate what this is. Can I not click that? Let's go with a little bit of red pepper, a red bell pepper, where I get the bread. Squid actually spawn naturally in any type of water. Kill them for some calamari, and you can actually cook it up. Let's use some venison and... maybe a little cheese. There. Now it's going to be a sandwich. Though it's not really a sandwich, it's a meal. Now, terrible just means that it won't give you any benefit, but this is actually a pretty good meal that is very fulfilling and should feed a person for quite a while. The more you produce of these things, you need a lot of bowls, and you do not get the bowl back when you're done eating. It just disappears. So that's kind of an annoyance, but they're doing that specifically so they can make a cookware system, which isn't yet implemented. Now wolves, I actually don't remember if wolves can actually be tamed. I'm actually going to show that now to see if it actually works. Other than that, skeletons, zombies, spiders, most creatures are pretty much the same, only they're scaled and a little bit more dangerous depending on what they are. No, I don't think you can... Nope, can't tame them yet because it's very aggravated at something. So I'm just going to go over here and test this. Yes, you can tame animals. So yeah, you can actually have that. In fact, that's something I might want to get for my own Let's Play. Because wolves actually would be kind of fun to have around. Oh, and another thing. watch out for where you step, because the ground can collapse very easily. TerraFirmaCraft is very finicky with collapsing blocks. But in a good way. But yeah, till next time, if you like what you're watching, subscribe. If not, oh well. Have a nice day. And I'll see you in part 2 of TerraFirmaCraft Minecraft mods. See you next time.